Hello, wrestling fans. It is I, Sir Logan Moore, and welcome to the very first video on my new channel, Wrestling with the Title. And this video is going to be me kind of letting you know who I am, letting you know about my love of professional wrestling, and kind of what to expect going forward. So I am a lifelong wrestling fan, as I've said. I am 42 years old as of the recording of this. And I I have literally loved it my entire life. I surround myself with a lot of my fandoms, and wrestling is one of them. My intro, let's discuss that first. My hello, wrestling fans. It's a callback to Central States Wrestling back in the territory days. The opening of All Star Wrestling was hello, wrestling fans, every single week. And I just found it fitting to make that the intro for this channel. My first exposure to professional wrestling, I don't know the exact moments because my dad's a wrestling fan. My grandfather was a wrestling fan. My dad, speaking of Central States Wrestling back in Kansas City, here in Kansas City, he had tickets every Thursday. And at Moore Hall, or was it Municipal Auditorium? Whichever it was that they had Central States Wrestling at every Thursday, my dad was there. And he absolutely loved it. He grew up watching Harley Race, Bulldog Bob Brown, Bob Geigel, Sonny Myers, all these legends of Kansas City wrestling. I was born in 1979. The first memories I have of professional wrestling is syndicated, back then, WWF television. And I very much remember the build up to WrestleMania 2. I don't remember the build up to WrestleMania 1. I don't remember that stuff, but I remember the build up to 2. I remember being afraid of King Kong Bundy. I remember hating Roddy Piper because I liked the A-Team and I liked Mr. T. And I remember hating Roddy Piper. I remember liking Hulk Hogan. But I have never, and that's one thing, I've never been a diehard Hulkamaniac. I liked him. I'm not gonna say I disliked him. I always rooted for him, especially back in the old WWF days. I rooted for Hulk Hogan, I'm not gonna lie. I was a kid that he was marketed as a hero for children. So I liked him, but he was never my favorite. Big Macho Man fan. I loved Macho Man Randy Savage. I really liked as a kid. I very much remember liking the Big Boss Man when he was a baby face. I vividly remember his run against the Mountie. And all these dates, they kind of run together in my head from when I was so young. I remember Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Loved Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and ho, carrying the 2x4 in the American flag. It was absolutely phenomenal. I loved the British Bulldogs, and I was a huge fan, even when they were bad guys, of the Hart Foundation. So, real quick, my favorite wrestler of all time is Bret the Hitman Hart. I know there will always be I respect the heck out of Shawn Michaels, the performer. My God. And the fact from what everyone has said is that he is definitely made the change to make his life better. He's down there and he's trying to help young guys. It's freaking great. And Shawn Michaels, the performer, was amazing. But for me, I liked guys like Bret Hart, like Mr. Perfect, Arn Anderson, Ricky Steamboat, the super good athletic technical wrestlers, Owen. One of my darkest moments in my life, let alone in wrestling, was I was at Kemper Arena at Over the Edge. The night that Owen passed. I was there. Um I don't talk about it a whole lot because I'm gonna be honest with you. To this day it still hurts, but and we'll get to talking about like the stuff with AEW and now being able to do the Owen Hart tournament and having the cup called the Owen and him being in the video. Like we'll talk about that in a separate video, but just real quick, that's amazing. But I never liked the huge must. I was never a big Ultimate Warrior fan, never a big Hogan fan. Love Roddy Piper. The biggest guy I think I liked is the Big Boss Man, and he wasn't like tall, muscular. He was, to be honest, he was built like my dad. You know, big farm boy, farm boy strong. Right? Like I liked him. Um, as a kid, I really liked the Bushwhackers. I thought they were hilarious. And yeah, I do not remember a time when I didn't love wrestling. Now, there have been times in which I have taken a break from watching professional wrestling. And I believe we'll probably do some videos over that time. Although, because I didn't lose my fandom, I would still go back and watch old stuff. Just the current product at the time, I couldn't get behind. It wasn't keeping my interest. And it's happened a couple times. I also did watch WCW. I watched WCW Saturday Night every single Saturday night as soon as we got cable. Um, I remember watching Captain Planet, and right after Captain Planet on TBS was WCW Saturday Night. Watching guys like Brian Pillman, Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Tom Zink, Ian News, all those like mid to late '90s, Cactus Jack, Abdullah the Butcher, Sting, Lex, Vader, watching all those guys. And then we go forward. Monday Night Wars started, and I hear this, and I guess I am the only person on the entire planet that remembers this fact. But everybody's like, and I used to flip back and forth between Raw and Nitro. I never did because I watched Raw live, and an hour after Raw went off the air, TNT replayed Monday Nitro. It was an hour or 2 hours. I don't remember, but like that same night, they just replayed it. And I've never been one to sleep at night. I've always kind of like gone to bed late and, slept in. Because I'm going to be honest, most of my work shifts up until the past like 4 or 5 years when I've had my current job have been evening shifts. So I would watch Monday Night Raw live or, as it happened on the USA Network. And then I would just watch TNT and watch Nitro. And I recorded them both. I had boxes, and I mean boxes of VHS. And I would buy, a lot of times, like local video stores when they went out of business or when the tapes got old, I would go and like raid whenever they were selling wrestling tapes. And I would just gather them and gather them and gather them and do all this. And I had a huge collection. And then I found out there was this thing you could do through the post office called tape trading, where I had, some like older WCW, NWA, WWF tapes that other people didn't have, and I was able to trade for somebody who had some like All Japan, New Japan, Pro Wrestling, FMW a little bit later on. I remember I traded a copy of a tape I had from Memphis that I'd gotten of old like Jerry Lawler matches and just the Memphis territory for like a month or two of TV for a tape of FMW deathmatch wrestlings. And I'm thinking about this because I just watched Dark Side of the Ring yesterday about FMW. But I remember getting my first FMW deathmatch tape. And I thought I was watching something from a completely different planet. It was insanity to me. But man, oh man, it made me fall back. Like, I knew who Terry Funk was, and I liked his old stuff from the NWA, but it made me like, this guy's crazy. And Cactus Jack and the stuff he was doing, and Sabu, and then ECW started up, and that was amazing. Um, and then we go and we roll into 2000, and I am starting to get this itch at the beginning of 2000, and I start looking and searching for a wrestling school because I want to try to be a wrestler. Oh, God, I want it so bad. And I start to talk to this one wrestling school that's up north of here in St. Joe. And I have a conversation, and the owner wasn't exactly the most polite guy, but I didn't expect that. I mean, it's professional wrestling, and they were still under the illusion that they had to keep kayfabe alive. Um, at all times, I should say. Kayfabe. We'll have a discussion about kayfabe. Kayfabe is very important during the process of the show. But like, I want to get in here, blah blah, and he's like, oh yeah, well, I think it was $1,500, and you can put 500 down and make payments, and if you don't pay us off, we'll break your legs. And I'm like, okay, dude, whatever. But then I get a phone call 2 days after I have a discussion. Told him, I need to think about it and see what's available. I get a phone call from somebody who is starting a wrestling company and a school just a little bit farther south in Joplin, Missouri. And he'll train me for $500 flat. I packed up my stuff and I moved to Joplin, Missouri. I trained. This was in the beginning of 2001. I had my very first match in 2001 in the Pittsburgh, Kansas National Guard Armory. I want to say it was August. And then September hit that year, and nobody could rent an armory. And I spent a short time wrestling in the independent promotions down through Southwest, like Southern Missouri, Kansas, Northern Arkansas, Oklahoma, those areas. I quit. I left the business. It wasn't my choice. It sucks. And it left a sour taste in my mouth just because I was somebody I wanted to wrestle people who had been in it longer than me and knew more than me so that I could learn and develop. And I kept getting put in matches with people who were younger than me or newer than me or the exact same amount of time. And there was only one other guy who was there, the exact, like literally to the day, the exact same amount of time as me that I liked wrestling because he had opportunities elsewhere to go and work. And so he knew more than I did, and he was better than me. And I knew if I wrestled him, I would learn. So I absolutely, to this day, will say I love wrestling Michael Berry. I left that, and wrestling. I kind of like that was one of the times that I kind of just took a step back from watching wrestling every week and live. It hurt. I moved to Joplin to be a wrestler, and then I had to quit. Then I get back into it, start really enjoying it, and this is like TNA starting to pop off a little bit, and CM Punk just starts like this is right after One Night Stand. The original ECW One Night Stand. I'd watch here or there, but One Night Stand, and I was there, and I watched during like the whole run of CM Punk in WWE, and all that was great. And I was watching TNA because I was a big fan of AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels. Again, the smaller, more like super athletic guys. And I started watching, kept watching, and then I kind of just lost interest again, and life got crazy. I put myself through college a few years ago, and I didn't play video games. I didn't watch wrestling. All I did was study and work. Study, work, study, work. That's all I did. And then I started get hearing these things, and I would still watch some stuff. Like I'd watch matches from New Japan. I was becoming a fan of Kenny Omega. Um, I was becoming a fan of Adam Cole, Hangman Page, and then I started hearing these rumblings of a new independent pay per view that was going to happen. I didn't get to watch it live, but I watched it about a month later, and it was fantastic. And it was All In, and it was great. And I'm just sitting there like, man, this was a great show. And then they had another one and announced All Elite Wrestling, and All Elite Wrestling got me back into watching weekly wrestling again. And to this day, like right now, AEW is my preference of the two major American promotions. I do like Impact. I think what they're doing with what they have, keeping it small, and I really enjoy it. But of AEW and WWE right now, AEW holds my interest and entertains me better. I will always love WWE. Always. It introduced me to wrestling. It's what made me fall in love with wrestling. I will cry real tears. I've cried twice when a famous person has passed away. I cried when Mr. Rogers passed away. I cried when Stan Lee passed away, and I will probably cry when Vince McMahon passes away. Because if it wasn't for that man, like I wouldn't love wrestling. People can talk bad and we can discuss till the ends of time about whether what he has done in wrestling is correct, the way he treated talent, the way he handled Owen, all the plane ride from hell, all of his, but just the fact that like he built the facility for which one of my favorite things was brought to me the first time. He's got a special place in my heart, love him or hate him. And I do not always love the man, but I will be sad when he's gone. Um, and that's just a fact. But that's kind of my story right now. I love professional wrestling, and now the pandemic has ended. Okay, let me rephrase that. Now that we have live events again, now that things are happening again, and we are able to go out, we now have there are two independent promotions here in Kansas City that I love. Journey Pro Wrestling came to my little tiny little speck of dirt that's a town just outside of Kansas City and put on 2 days of phenomenal independent wrestling. And they hooked me instantly. And I love them for it. Journey Pro Wrestling is amazing. And we got a brand new company, Dynamic Wrestling Federation, that just had their first show last week. And they were good. I'm excited to see kind of where they go after that first tournament to crown a new champion. I go to every WWE and AEW event that I possibly can. AEW is going to be here in November. I have my tickets ready. Me and my girlfriend are going to be there, and I will make a video all about the experience. I love wrestling. I am very opinionated about wrestling. I have a lot of thoughts how I would, don't. And this is what I'm going to say about an opinion channel. And it could be a powder keg of dynamite in my comments, and I know this. And I'm prepared. This is what I want to say about it. I am open to discussion. I am open to discussions with somebody who has a completely different point of view of me. Please don't attack the wrestler. Don't attack the promotions. If you don't like it, explain to me, hey, I'm not a fan of AEW. I don't like this and that and this and that. You're not wrong if that's what you dislike. It's your opinion. You can have that opinion. I may counter and say, well, I enjoy it because of this, this, and this, and I don't mind this. I like it this way. We look at the same thing differently, and we can both respect each other's opinion. And we can both go back and at the end of the day understand that we're both wrestling fans. We love something that is incredibly niche, that is looked at, that can be loved by all of us. You can love what you love, I can love what I love, and we can be happy that we are in a community that has that ability. Because if you go on Twitter and you start reading, you just want to chuck your PC out the window, and I can't afford to buy a new one. Let's keep it respectful in the comments. Please. You can disagree with me all day long. Just don't turn the disagreement into an attack. That's the best way to put it. I'm going to end this video here. Starting the next video, we're going to get into the regular schedule. Always have at least one video a week. Might have more, like the week that AEW's in town. You'll probably get my AEW video, and you'll get my normal one of my weekly videos. I'm going to do some opinion pieces. I'm going to do some spotlights. I already have the first 3 indie workers I want to do spotlights on to introduce you guys to some people that you might not have ever seen before. Get a chance, please hit the like button. Please subscribe and hit the bell. All that stuff is a wonderful free way to help this channel grow. And if you like what you see, please tell somebody. Guys, I appreciate each and every one of you for sitting down for what has now been 23 minutes and listening to some guy ramble. I appreciate you. And until next time, I'm Sir Logan Moore, and I'll see you at ringside.